That's what happens with the Buttes in the house.
Hockey, yeah.
My favorite. It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Oh, and welcome to, well, it's not the off season, obviously, for the National Hockey League quite yet, but welcome to the wild off season where there's going to be so much to talk about and a lot of things to sort through and conversations to be had that involve the future of this team and some of its key parts. So I figure, AJ Fredrickson, we should rip the Band-Aid off from the very, very start and just go right at the Quinn Hughes talker. It's going to be massive. It's going to be... it feels like it's going to be Kaprizov 2.0, but I think it's going to be more. I think there's going to be more to it because, as concerning as it was when Kaprizov didn't sign on July 1st, and he did eventually sign, September, right? I think he signed in September finally.
That feels like it, yeah.
Well, in that case, he had spent his whole career here. I think we were worried about it, but the reality was that there wasn't, it wasn't like he was possibly trying to go play with his brother. He was, and he got his deal, and it cost a ton of money, and it's going to start next season at $17 million AAV. But on Quinn Hughes, so I think we can all say with complete certainty that the acquisition itself not only worked, it lifted the entire team. Like the Wild got, it's weird. Their season's so weird. They got up to a terrible start, and we're all like, oh my God, they might not make the playoffs. And then they started to play pretty well, and it became clear that, okay, they're going to be competitive. And then in mid-December, Bill Guerin drops the, absolute bomb of I've traded for Quinn Hughes. And I think we all knew Quinn Hughes was very, very good. He had won a Norris Trophy with the Canucks. He was a much talked about ballyhooed player. I don't know until you see him play every game, you realize how good he is. I mean, he was unbelievable. And he changed the complexion of that team. He changed it from being, hey, you know what? They can make the playoffs. What can they do to, holy cow, they're Stanley Cup contenders. No, obviously that ends short. That's disappointing. But I think we just have to deal in this episode with a series of questions about this because at the end of the day, we just don't know. And I'm going to start you off with this one. So give me where you were at, as the Kaprizov thing ebbed and flowed and finally got done. Because it felt like we did a lot of shows on that. It felt like there was some concern. Give me what you recall about your concern about that. And if you will be more concerned about Quinn Hughes, less concerned about Quinn Hughes, or sort of how that entire thing now colors how you feel about this one, which is obviously a very similar situation.
So when the Kaprizov extension hit the hockey world, I think like most people immediately you're like, wow, 17 million is a lot. But then I was thinking about it more, and granted, we had been talking about it. It seems like 4 times a week throughout the summer. So we kind of already had, I think, our formed opinions on how if the number rolls in, how do we react and whatnot. But it's still, it's sticker shock. It's still, as of right now, many months later, set to be the highest paid player in the history of the National Hockey League. So there is that, you get kind of taken back because it is such a big number in terms of hockey. But when you think about, and granted, people are going to probably say like with recency bias here, and as much as I crashed out over 0 shots in an elimination game, he is super important and a franchise player for this club. So it was a price that the Wild, I think, felt they needed to pay. Obviously, we're willing to pay, and I don't. I'm never going to fault a player for signing, to something that they feel they're worth. Go ahead, you get paid. It's not on you. That's you having a good agent, good work ethic, having a good contract year potentially, and then it's up to the front office to mitigate. Is this feasible? Can we still work around this cap down the road? How much does this impact our ability to build a championship winning roster? Now that we have, gone through this season, we have it. We're on the verge now of that officially hitting with the, the season table kind of turning over and it actually going to 17 mil. I still feel in the same boat of, yes, it's a lot, but I don't think it's all that bad still. Talk to me in 5 years, maybe we'll have a different conversation. But as of right now, he's a guy that should be in his prime. He was healthier this year, which was fantastic. Granted, it did help that he had 3 weeks off essentially with the Olympics. And I know that was a huge talking point for us. But in terms of percentage-wise against the cap, if you view it that way, it really doesn't look all that bad heading into next year. With the salary cap rising to $104 million and expected to continue to rise over the next coming seasons, this one, despite it being, it's sitting there, kind of the last thing on the table, and everybody's looking at it like, oh, that is so much. I don't know if I can do that. You're going to have all of these superstars you would expect to sign to get close to that, to match that, maybe even exceed that here over the next year to two. Macklin Celebrini is going to sign a major ticket with the Sharks. You're going to have some of these other major players coming up, like in Connor McDavid's next contract when he's done, with the Oilers after that very hometown friendly deal that he signed with them. That's going to be massive because he's still going to be one of, if not the best player in hockey, but he's going to be even older. And at that point, some team's going to sign him to that max term, almost and max out their books, just trying to get him on their roster in their jersey. So I don't know if the Kirill Kaprizov one is something that I'm going to overreact about or like stress about right now. I still feel very cool, calm-headed about it. And I think there is a world here where you can make that work with extending Quinn Hughes for a potential 3-year deal so it syncs up with his brother Jack, and then still be able to add or take on another contract here in Minnesota to where you're building and one of my talking points over the past couple of weeks was this is the best of a roster they've had. I think they can continue to build with this Kirill contract, with a potential Hughes extension, and still take another step forward to becoming a legitimate cup contender where you're not worried about them getting bounced in the first or second round. It's more like you're going to the final. Who's coming out of the East that potentially can bounce you?
So on the Hughes one in particular, though, and the opportunity to sign him, and I believe the rules are with the CBA now beginning as of, I'm just looking, I Googled this quick, as of September the 16th of 2026. So that is this coming September. The longest a player can sign with their current team is 7 years. So Hughes would still fall on July 1st of 2026 under the 8-year rule with the Wild, 7 years elsewhere, but he's not just to be clear here, free agent. He is going to be under team control with the Wild for one more season in his current contract. Now, my concern here is I do think this is a little bit dicier potentially, and we'll have to wait and see, than the Kaprizov situation because Hughes has played elsewhere already, and he has some options as far as what he could force the Wild's hand on if he wants to do so. Every time he's talked, and he's going to talk again, I'm sure, today, that the players are doing exit interviews this morning on Friday.
Yep.
I'm sure he'll talk about the great experience that he had here and that he loved it and he loved the guys. Now, that's well and good, and that's great. And I mean, yeah, playing here is, I think, a really good situation. The Wild's pretty much, as far as I can tell, a first-class organization. There's a lot to like here. That being said, I do think you go into this with a little bit more of a concern about, okay, but does he really want to stay here? And we talked about this briefly on the post-game episode after the debacle a couple nights ago. Part of this, though, is what you brought up, which is I don't think he's going to want to sign an 8-year contract here. I don't have a problem with that. Jack Hughes, just to flesh this out a little bit, who plays for the Devils, Jack Hughes is signed through 2029-30 with the Devils as part of his 8-year contract at $8 million cap hit per season. So his contract goes through 29-30. Quinn Hughes could sign a 3-year contract then, starting in 27-28, that would sync up with Jack's. There's going to be a prevailing concern, I think, about, oh my God, but what if Quinn wants to play for the Devils? I don't think that's an issue here. And I know that Devils fans are trying very hard to make this happen, but I think there's a couple things at work here against it. One is, I don't know that Jack Hughes wants to stay there. Like, that's a big question mark. Now, they did fire their GM, Tom Fitzgerald. They got a new GM. And look, that franchise has had success. They've got cups, not for a long time. But all of that being said, I think the Devils thing scares me. If I'm a Wild fan, and we are clearly a show that wants to see Quinn Hughes stay here. The Wild doesn't, as far as the Devils go, they don't concern me the most because one is, I think there's a good chance that Jack and Quinn sync up their contracts and they don't play here and they don't play in Jersey, period. And the thing with Quinn is, I like the idea at his age. He's 26 years old right now.
Yes.
And Jack is 25. I like the idea of a 3-year contract just based on this. If you sign him to an 8-year contract, you're signing him through his age 34 season, which right now seems like, oh man, he's such a smooth player. That's fine. That's great. I think I would be getting, if I was a team, preferably, I think I'm going to be getting out of the business of, well, it's going to be 7-year contracts for your current team.
Mm-hmm.
If he plays here for 3 years, as we talked about, with this team right now, this current incarnation of Boldy and Kaprizov, and hopefully you add to it, I think it's a very reasonable thing to say, you should win a Stanley Cup within 3 years. And that might include bringing Jack Hughes here. I don't know. But I don't think it's outside the realm of saying, you know what, you're going to need eight years to try to win a Stanley Cup. What are you talking about? So if this comes down to, hey, I'll stay, I want to do 3 years, I'd be like, okay, dude, we'll do 3 years. I wouldn't put up a big fight about it because in 3 years, if you don't have a cup with this guy, I think you're incredibly disappointed, and you're probably looking around saying, did it work? Not, hey, you know what? We got 5 years left. Right. I'm tired of these long contracts. Quite frankly, I don't know that they work. And I think your window is now, and I think 3 years is pretty damn good.
I really think the Wild are in about as fortuitous of a spot with this situation as possible. And that's assuming that he does want to extend. Like, I'll get to that. I think he does, but you're exactly right. You're not going to have this long-term commitment. You're getting a fantastic player in the prime of his career, and then you're getting out before you're going to see any notable drop-offs, and then you're going to have that kind of overhanging, like, you have to rationalize, you know what? Yeah, I mean, look what he gave to us 3 years ago. I know he's not the same player he was, but, you know, we're dealing with this potential $15, $16, $17 million cap hit against him every year, and he's 34, like you're saying. He doesn't have that pirouette turn anymore. He lost a step. I think this is fantastic, and that leads me into the thinking, and I've been kind of wrestling with this the past, now it's been 2 days. I think he does sign a 3-year extension, and I think it probably comes in around between like a total of 40 to 45 million. Like, I think you're looking at a 13, 14, 15 AAV, because it should be less if it's a shorter term than Kirill's. I don't think he could probably walk in there, but they're going to, I think, say, and I bet you he would understand this too. You're going to go and sign somewhere potentially after you're done with us. You're going to cash out then. If you're serious about winning, which I really think he is, and I'm not saying Kirill Kaprizov isn't, but the way that Quinn Hughes over the past, 4 months now has kind of come off in the media, come off in his locker room talk, and just everything that I've learned about him, he seems incredibly driven to win now and win in the moment. And he's going to, I think, if you look at the two paths, what is it? The Robert Frost poem, the two paths that lay before you, you have Kirill Kaprizov, which he was drafted by Minnesota. It took him a while to get here from Russia, but now he's here. He's a franchise player. He was the first generational player for the Wild in franchise history. They had to extend him. Or you look at Connor McDavid, same thing, drafted there. They have to win. They've been to the Cup, whatever. He signs a short-term deal because he wants to win, and he recognizes this is going to be the way that we can potentially do that. I don't think he goes full McDavid and says, "Yep, let's go 3 years, $8 million. That's fine. Like let's book." You're going to get somewhere in the middle. So I think somewhere in that 13, 14, $15 million AAV, which I think is beneficial for the Wild, beneficial for Quinn Hughes, because that's not chump change. Like in NHL terms, that is a significant paycheck every single year. But that still is going to allow the Wild a little wiggle room. And with some of the other deals that they have, Boldy at his current AAV, Brock Faber at his AAV of what is going to be 8.5. I think that's going to look like a fantastic deal here, even starting next year. Eric Sneck still at his AAV. It offsets the Kaprizov stuff to where yes, his number is 17, but when it's spread out, you're like, this top group of talent, it really isn't the most high paid, overpaid like grouping of stars in the league. They're still going to be able to round out that top stuff with Quinn Hughes, potentially take on something else, and then potentially retain a Michael McCarron, extend him depending on what his asking price is. Sign and go out and get some more depth guys to have that bottom six that Bill Guerin and John Hines have kind of lauded over and wanted to build. I think it's a very, very fortunate situation that the Wild aren't in a. It's either you're signing him super, super long, or it's an ultimatum of you got to trade him this year. I really think it's going to lean towards, yep, let's extend. I recognize I'm 26. He'll still be in the prime of his career when he's 29 and that contract's up, and then he can sign wherever he wants to. And by that time, ideally, you have a cup and you're like, okay, thanks, appreciate it. By all means, go and get your money.
Right. And then he might stay regardless too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is, I think it syncs up well too, because so I think part of what we're going to have here is in the coming, well, the players will do exit interviews with Hines and Bill Guerin today probably. And with Quinn Hughes, I think part of this is going to depend on their vision as well for him, and probably more importantly for the team. So there is no question that they're going to have to sell him on. We are going to go get. I feel it needs to be a center, but he is now. Now I know you don't love this idea, but he is great friends with Brady Tkachuk. They lived together at one point in time with Keith Tkachuk, the dad, and Brady is under contract to the Senators. There's been rumors he might be traded, or he might want to be traded, and the Wild has definitely been mentioned as a potential landing spot there. He's a winger. There's Jack Hughes. Would you inquire about him? The Devils now, they've changed GMs, as I mentioned before, and they might not be interested in trading Jack, because that would sort of send a message, I think, of we're punting. And I don't know that their fan base, I don't know they can afford to do that with their fan base right now. But there are certainly variables. There are certainly guys out there. There are certainly reasons why Bill Guerin did not make a trade for a number one center, which no question came back to bite the Wild right in the ass when Eriksson Ek got hurt. But part of why they didn't do it was because they expected a splash move this offseason. I'm sure they will share that with Quinn Hughes, and much, much more than I'm telling you, because we don't know. So yeah. I think that plays a role. I don't think there's any reason to believe. The only reason why he would say, I won't do a short-term contract, and I think that's how we need to think about this, would be if he didn't like it here, and there'd be no reason not to. You've basically seen, and I will acknowledge, I do think Quinn is an odd fellow. Like I do think we've talked about this. He's got his own personality. The staring at the seeing ghost things is sort of part of that personality of I think he marches to his own drummer, which is absolutely fine. In fact, I admire it. I don't claim to understand him. He's certainly not your typical hockey player who you can put in like one of two bins. I don't know. But the reality is there could be a ton of things he's thinking we don't know. So there could be some surprise of, I don't want to sign there. I don't want to. But I do think the reason why ultimately, as much criticism as he gets and the obsession that the Canucks fans have with him is why he wanted out, that was a dysfunctional team, a dysfunctional situation. In retrospect, I would say, having seen what we saw, naming him the captain was a massive mistake. He's not a captain. He is in no way a captain. He is a great player, but you need somebody. He's not the type of guy who's going to lead a locker room. And I'll say this: I didn't think Koivu was a captain. Quite frankly, I don't think really Spurgeon is. I think Brock Faber is. Brock Faber gets up there after this gut-wrenching loss to Colorado, and he just tells it like it is. That's a captain. That's a guy that takes. So I think there were a lot of missteps in Vancouver, probably some by Quinn, but a ton by the team, and the Canucks fans remain obsessed with him. So his desire to bolt from there, I think, was completely probably fair, and I don't think there's a comparable here of, well, look, this is who he is. So I do think it works out, but I do think the one thing that we need to be aware of, and the Kaprizov situation taught us this age, is it probably not going to happen July 1st or 2nd.
It's not going to.
So like we need to get and I'll speak for myself. In retrospect, I thought, hey, last July 2nd, Kirill Kaprizov was going to sign that contract, and it didn't happen. We started doing shows about what the hell. So, but let's use that experience now to our benefit and say, I do think the one thing is we can't all freak out and think that Quinn Hughes has to be traded if he doesn't sign on July 3rd, which I now don't think, certainly from what we saw last year, with any of those top guys, not just Kirill. I don't think it's going to happen. So I do think we need to be patient this time around and understand, hey, the Kaprizov situation taught us that.
Be patient is the motto for the summer. Be patient, deep breaths. It's going to be okay. If we get to opening night of 2026-27 and he is not extended, that's when we start pressing the panic button. But I really think there's going to be talks with him and the front office that's like, here's our plan, and this is part of the exit interviews, and we're not going to hear about this. They're not going to step up to the podium today. I think they're speaking at like 9:00, and he's not going to say, yeah, Billy told me here's the list of guys that he's hoping to maybe look and get. We're not going to get any of that. He's going to talk about how fun it was to be here, and he's going to look to the future and all this stuff, and it's going to be lip service, and I get that. He wants to go and relax. I don't blame him by one means, but you're going to see rumors and stuff all summer long, and the Wild, I think, are going to pair it up, and this is going to be eventually, there's going to be a busy week for you and I, because we're going to get a lot of nothing and a lot of nothing, and we're going to have some speculation and then more nothing, and then randomly in late August, something along those lines, boom, the Wild, breaking news, Toronto Maple Leaf captain Austin Matthews, Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators, Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils is making their way to Minnesota. You're going to get one of those things, and maybe it won't be one of those three guys. Who knows? Like that's just the rumor, obviously. But you're going to get some sort of thing where it's a part and parcel. Where if you see him extend, a move is coming in the coming days. You see a move by the Minnesota Wild, an extension's probably coming in the coming days. I really think it's going to be we're working together. We sort of are tuning you in, and there might be a little bit, and I know they didn't really cue in Kaprizov or much of, I think, any of the actually Minnesota Wild roster when they traded for Quinn Hughes, and that seemed like a very, I don't know, out of left field. I don't know if Bill Guerin actually expected to get the call back from Vancouver and saying, yeah, let's go ahead. Granted, that was a good deal, and I know you mentioned him bolting, but I think the way that Quinn went about his departure in Vancouver is very admirable, because he notified them, he worked with them to get a deal that I think benefited both sides. And granted, right now, I would say the Wild knocked that deal out of the park. Bill Guerin looks like a genius because you got one of the best defenders in hockey. But you got a draft pick, you've got some pretty solid prospects, and a couple guys where maybe just a change of location is going to really do them wonders, where next season maybe we're saying, hey, this looks a lot more even. Maybe the Canucks are turning things around on the back of Marco Rossi and Lima Ogren, and Zeev Buium's taking a huge step. Who knows? But he doesn't seem like a guy where he's going to just wait it out and wait it out and wait it out and wait it out, and then by the end of next season, it's like, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to go sign somewhere else for 3 years, and then, or I'm just going to go to New Jersey, something like that. He feels like he's going to take what the Minnesota Wild went out, and he was appreciated about this in his introduction interview with the Wild when he first joined. He recognized what Bill went out and did and what he sent and how he was valued, and I think he genuinely appreciates that. So there's going to be a lot of nothing this summer, but it's going to have to be a wait and see. But then eventually it's going to be like a 1-2 punch coming out of nowhere, where you might be barbecuing outside and then all of a sudden you hear Elliot Friedman come across your ticker, and it's, the Minnesota Wild involved in a massive trade deal that sends a pick and a prospect, and they're not going to be drafting in the first round for the next 6 years, but who cares, because right now you're built to win a cup.
I think, and I would say this too. Down the road, if Jack and Quinn are going to pair up, I think it'll be in Detroit. I think the family's in Michigan. There was some talk that the Red Wings were very much involved in the Quinn Hughes talks with the Canucks. Now, of course, their brother Luke, who is the baby of the family, I believe, he is still with the Devils. But I think you're probably right. And there is an episode to be done what Bill Guerin is going to do as far as big game hunting for another key piece here, because the Wild's not done, and there's also questions about who is going to come back, because who is now in the trust tree of guys that can stay on the freaking ice when it's important. A couple more things to get to, but I want to start, or I want to tell you about our friends at Aura Frames. If you missed Mother's Day, I was telling you leading up to Mother's Day, Aura Frames is fantastic. It beats flowers. But let's just say, you know what? You said, yeah, that's a great idea, but I'm not going to do it, or you procrastinated. I'm going to tell you right now, Mother's Day should be every day. That's right. Moms are the best, and they deserve a gift every day. So forget the special day. Just think of this. Aura Frames is a perfect gift for mom, because, again, it gives you photos, videos that rotate, free, unlimited storage. You can preload the photos. Every frame comes packaged in a premium gift box, Mother's Day or not, with no price tag, named #1 by Wirecutter. You can save on the gifts that moms love just by going to auraframes.com. It's going to remind her of all of the great times. And listeners and viewers can get $25 off their best-selling Carver mat frame with the code JUDD, J-U-D-D. That's Aura Frames, AURAFrames.com, promo code JUDD, J-U-D-D. And support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Mother's Day might be gone, but the opportunity to reward or to remember mom and give her something special never goes away. And then also for yourself, how about this? If you collect sports cards, 3-Star Sports Cards is the place to go. They've been serving your collecting needs since 2008. 3 locations: Bloomington, Little Canada, and their newest store in Minnetonka is an Upper Deck Diamond dealer. 3-Star Sports Cards. Always a great selection of sealed hockey packs and boxes from which to choose, as you can see in the display case right there. Some vintage hockey, also some new school as well. AJ and I have checked out the cards. It's great, and it's not just hockey cards. It's baseball, it's basketball, it's football as well. Establish a loyalty rewards account by using the code JUDD, J-U-D-D 2026. Check out their website at 3starsportscards.com. And I say we rip a pack, AJ. 3starsportscards.com. Here's what I got for you.
What do we got today?
Series 2, Young Gun cards, a hobby pack from 2025-26.
Oh, Series 2. All right. So that's
Series 2.
our guy Ben Kindle's going to be in there. You got Danila Yurov. You got Hunter Haight for the Wild. Big one there, Matthew Schaefer. Calder winner. What a likable guy, too. Did you see the spot? I was so confused on Wednesday because it felt like they just randomly announced, hey, by the way, he won the Calder. Let's just move on, because it was like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yep.
But they had him on I think Good Morning America.
Good Morning America.
They got his dad and his brother to come on.
They surprised him.
That was like,
and the whole family was there. You know,
I was emotional.
Mom has passed, but yes, it was great, and he seems like a great kid. Okay, we're off to a good start. We're off to a really good start. Little Jack Eichel for you. I know Wild fans might not like him, but that's a very nice card right there. Little Jack Eichel. All right, so let's see what else we got. We got Adrian Kempe of the Kings.
Okay,
that's not too bad. I got
some playoff performers so far.
Okay. Explain. Oh boy, we just hit the jackpot back to back. Explain this one. Kirill Kaprizov. Let them cook.
So that's one of the inserts for Series 2. The stars of the league are going to be in there. It's a select few, but it's I want to say like it's, a 1 in every 5 packs or so. So it's not the most rare one, but it is a nice little variation. It's got a little of that gloss on there. Oh, you're sleeving it up?
I'm sleeving it up right now. Sleeving it up right now. We're taking no chances with this card.
There we go. I like it.
Okay. Now that's a great card, but
it is
the aforementioned Matthew Schaefer in a UD Portraits.
There you go. That is a recurring insert for flagship, and the design changes. And frankly, some years it's very miss, some years it's very hit. I don't mind this year's at all, but the fact that Matthew Schaefer's name is attached to that, the ROI potential, skyrocketing.
I might retire. All right, let's see what else we got. We got a Scotty Mayfield, Kevin Korchinski, which you probably like there.
Not a bad player by any means.
Troy Terry does not hit you.
No. Nice guy, non-physical.
Oh yeah. Great. Oh, Zach Benson.
Oh, just turned what 21 the other day.
Yep.
They were trying to get him to chug a beer in the locker room. He said no thanks.
That's no fun. Here's what we're gonna do with
Did
this
you see
one.
that video?
No.
They won, and it's like, you're 21 now, buddy. Drinking's legal, and they're like, chug, 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 and he just, 21-year-old kid. Nah, guys, don't worry about it. I'll do it. I'll do something later. You've had a beer before, Zach. Just shotgun it.
Just
it's
chug
okay.
it. Yeah, just chug it. Come on,
Be a hockey player.
This is hockey culture. Okay. All right. So anyway, 3-star sports cards, 3starsportscards.com, Minnetonka, Little Canada, and Bloomington. Let's get to. I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
Off of Hughes, and we'll do plenty more on this. I just think this is incredibly intriguing.
If you like Quinn Hughes talk, get ready for the summer of Quinn Hughes here on JHS.
Well, and then and we've got shows in the coming weeks. We're going to do shows on who comes back, who doesn't come back. I mean, this roster has some long in the tooth dudes who I know fans like, but it might be time for a change. The Zuccarello conversation is going to be really intriguing because that also involves Kirill Kaprizov. But anyway, my last Quinn Hughes question for you on this show is this. How much do you think the loss to the Avalanche in the second round impacted his feelings about the Wild? Because that's going to be talked about.
I'd be curious to where he puts his blame. Because, like on the postgame show, my concerns, I know the clip that has been that I put out on social leaves off the part where I was like, I'm still fine with John Hines at the helm, but he's going to have to like grow and show me more progression. But it concerns me on how he mismanaged the defensive pairings at times. I know you had Brodin out, and going back to that Spurgeon Middleton combo in the elimination game just seems inexcusable. But like, where does he draw the ire, or does he just accept, hey, this was essentially like, is his view of it, this was the Stanley Cup final matchup. If we win this, we're off to the races in his mind, and we're going to take home the whole thing. If that's it, then it doesn't knock it down at all. I think people can understand losing to the Colorado Avalanche, who wire to wire, best team in hockey, looking like the best team in the postseason, maybe aside from the Hurricanes, who haven't lost a game yet. So, but if it does knock it down, like, I don't think it's enough to where he's not going to feel a disdain to where he's not going to extend. That loss shouldn't move the needle. And frankly, if it does, then I don't want him here, because that means mentally you're not strong enough to go and win a cup. Like, you got to take some losses in strides. And yes, we can be mad about it within the first couple days and whatnot. But in retrospect, I think we're all going to look back. That's a damn good Colorado Avalanche team. He should be able to understand that too. It's just it's how I think franchise and Bill Guerin handles the next steps to take that next step as a team, whether it's a coaching thing, whether it's adding another piece to the roster. Because if you just say we're going to run it back, then maybe that's an issue. But there will be changes, there will be additions, there will be subtractions. So I don't think it'll factor in all too much as maybe some people may think.
I would agree with you there. I mean, I do think that last game leaves an incredibly sour taste because of the choke job. But that being said, that should also, in a lot of ways, for guys, including Quinn on that team, it should motivate them. Because he was involved. Now, it's not all his fault, or not even close, but he was involved there. So, like, if you said, well, you guys choked, I don't want to be on the team, it's like, well, dude, you were part of the choke. So I would agree. I also think, and I don't know if this is going to be the long-term thing, but the potential to pair with Faber is a dream. Like, Brock Faber, Quinn Hughes lifted Brock a lot, but Brock gets credit for being lifted and for proving that he is we knew he was really good. We didn't know he was that good. And he wasn't that good until he played with Quinn. And it's not like Quinn can now go to another team, play with a defenseman who's good, and lift him to that height. Brock Faber put himself into a different stratosphere, and Brock Faber gets a lot of credit for that. So, like, if I'm going to play with Brock, that is really attractive. Really attractive. That's one of the... That should be in next season one of the best pairings in the entire league again. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like here. I think if you're Quinn Hughes, you know that. And I think if we all get right with, it's probably going to be a shorter term contract. I think it's a lot less hairy than the Kaprizov thing was with, oh my God, it's got to be 8 years. If it's not 8 years, what's gone wrong? It can't be 6 years. It has to be 8 years. In retrospect, I sort of kick myself for being so intent on that because this team has a window to win. It should be within 3 years. Quinn Hughes can contribute. You do to what you said. You're exactly right. You need to add more. You need to be more prepared. You need to weed out some of the old players. We saw that.
Yep.
Like that became abundantly clear. So, and then there's an entire question, and we'll do a show on this one too. Is John Hines the right coach to get this team over the hump in the most important way, which is a championship? That's for another day. That's for another time, and the answer might be no. Anyway. He is AJ. I am Judd. This has been the first of many What Will Quinn Hughes Do episodes of Judd's Hockey Show, and we, as always, appreciate you watching.